for clan wars or anything like that, so why exactly should I bother? Anyway, back to the game. The general gist of what I'm doing here and not executing it terribly well is just to create my Dark Ranger up to level 3 pretty quickly, so that she's level 3 before, like just right before I hit tier 2. And then once I've got level 3 with her and have a ton of skeletons resulting from that, powerful skeletons, I'm going to grab a Naga and I'm going to push. Basically, the Dark Ranger plus the Naga plus your Fiends results in you being able to turn his units into skeletons very quickly. And that's really where the whole strength of this strategy comes from. Sometimes, particularly if your opponent builds a whole lot of towers, as this guy is gonna do, you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot with your push initially. That's okay. What you end up really having to do is just back off and expand. You will see this in a little while. My opponent, I think, is about to try... No, he didn't try pushing my base. I'm not really sure why. He comes to fight with me. By the way, I managed to block my Fiends in this game, and that's why it took me so damn long. If you notice, I was doing all that creeping with like a single Fiend. Normally it goes a little bit faster than that, but I was being a scrub, so that's unfortunate, but hey, like I said, regular, like, average player ladder games do involve mistakes, so if you make your own mistakes, just get over it, keep trying, and don't get discouraged, because maybe your opponent will screw up and kind of hand the game back to you. You never know when that's going to happen. So here we go. This is going to be my push. I'm about to grab a Naga once I get money to do it. Yeah, I already have the money to do it, I think. I just need to, like, cancel a Fiend or something like that. And I'm going to go for my push. Now, if he had basically just been massing footmen, you kind of want to do the usual thing that you do with Fiends. You just start focusing down one unit, get it to take a bit of damage, or, hopefully kill it. And then as soon as the stuff kind of gets on top of you, you just have to back up. It's one of those critical things. If you're having trouble playing Fiends, there's just a real simple thing to remember. God, why do I have so few Fiends? I know I lost one, but this is really scrubby. I usually get more than this. Okay, so yeah, you really want to have like 4, hopefully like maybe even 5 Fiends when you do this push. You can also focus down his heroes. That's pretty handy. It just, can get him to town portal out, especially if he has expanded and you want to just kind of have a little free for all on his peasants. You can focus fire his hero a lot of the time and get him to back off. That probably wasn't really the best choice for me there. Really better to just kind of look for any wounded footmen or anything and just kind of pick those off first. So basically, what I did there was I saw that I couldn't fight him as an expo. He already had 3 towers up. That plus his water elementals and his footmen is a little bit too much for me to fight, especially since I didn't quite get all the Fiends and stuff that I was supposed to. And he's also got 4 towers in his base. So yeah, that's the sort of situation where he's basically the thing to exploit in this. Yeah, you can't really stop him from doing that, and it's a little bit frustrating. That's why a lot of people, I think, get mad about going up against mass tower strategies, because you really can't stop the human player from doing this if they want to. What you can do, however, is take advantage of the fact that his army is very small. If he's got 4 towers in his base and he's got 4 towers in his expansion, that basically means his actual unit count is going to be pretty pitiful. Like, if you look at his army, he's only got 4 footmen and a couple of mercenaries. And I doubt that his tech is in particularly good shape. He does have a keep at this point, but if I'm already at tier 3 here. Since I have Fiends, at this point I could just research web as any air defense that's needed, and try and start like massing destroyers. However, against a lot of towers, what generally ends up happening, especially, all he's got to do is get a few gyrocopters out, and you're not really going to be able to fight those towers with your destroyers. So I counter expand. Basically, that is what I do in most cases whenever I see an opponent that's really massing the hell out of towers. This isn't somebody that builds like 1 or 2 towers in either base, and that's enough to hold you off for the moment. No, that's kind of the sort of thing that you often do want to go for the destroyer push against. But if you see like mass towers, somebody that's just building like 7 or 8 of them, or just total, if you count the number between his base and expansion, you really should go ahead and counter expand yourself, because he is going to get a lot of money off that expansion. It's going to be a long time before you can take the thing down. So yeah, just back off, creep, because for one thing, you're going to be able to out-creep him. He doesn't have much of an army, so he can't kill creeps very fast, and he's got to be fairly careful to make sure his stuff doesn't get killed while he's creeping. And also set up a counter-expansion. On a larger map, you also are going to have to be pretty meticulous about scouting and making sure he doesn't get a third base up. As you're going to see a little bit later in this, it's I know I've kind of beaten this point to death, but it's really, really not that hard to deal with like a human player that only has 2 bases, especially if you manage to get like a counter expansion going. He's coming in and cancel my gold mine. Yeah, that sucks. Basically, he's going to run once he sees my army, because he knows there's no way in hell he can fight all those skeletons. I mentioned this in the game before, but generally, if you have your pick of targets in your opponent's army, mercenaries are a very good first pick, because as on the whole, they have very, very low hit points. Even though, like, for their money, say you spend like, if you compare like a forest troll berserker, they cost a little bit more than a fiend. I think they do as much damage as a fiend, give or take. But they have like only like 400 or 450 hit points as opposed to the fiend's 550. So you can basically end up getting rid of a lot of your opponent's extra damage very quickly if you focus those down. Same thing applies to the Shadow Priests. That thing, if you don't kill it right off the bat, it's going to spend a lot of the time healing. It's going to give your opponent a lot of hit points back. But they've got like, they're pitiful. They've got like, let's see if I can get an idea. I think they've got... yeah, they've got 240 hit points. So yeah, that's even ogres, although they are fairly tanky. That's really your opponent has spent quite a lot of money for like an 800 hit point unit. If you compare that to like a grunt, it's almost like they kind of got ripped off. So, yeah, point is just take down the mercenaries. I wasn't aware at this point that he had 7 towers in his base, so I was going to come push him. As soon as I see all that crap, I immediately back off. There's no way in hell that you can fight that many towers with just fiends. Even with destroyers, you're not going to have a whole lot of luck. And I got kind of a goofy idea here. This was really stupid, but he kind of does his job. I grabbed a Pit Lord, and the idea was going to use his Firestorm, Rain of Fire ability to kind of take the towers down, or at least make him spend money trying to repair them. However, a Panda would have been so much better. I don't have a Death Knight, so it's not like I can coil the damn thing anyway. That means he can also nuke it with his Panda. And also, if you've noticed, like, just in general, the channeling area of effect spells have gotten very, very unpopular. Because just in general, while they can potentially do more damage than the instant ones, like things like Frost Nova or Breath of Fire, they're almost impossible to use in combat without hitting your own units or just, not really doing much damage to his. I get a good Creep Jack in here. Let's see, I can't remember if I had any particular intuition. I may have even seen my opponent going for this creep camp. The general gist of what I was doing there is one of the things about Echo Isles is there's a limited number of creeps on this map, and you also don't really, besides them getting their initial base, you don't really have to worry that much about your opponent expanding. So creeping on a small map like this becomes extra important. Also for the fact that the map is very capable of actually running out of creeps. I make a very, very unsuccessful push. I was going to try and come in here and kill some